AI. Do you like them, love them, hate them, or indifferent about it? Well, today we're going to find out, because today we're going to be building our very own AI chatbot, which we're going to be embedding within our application. As an extra line of challenge, we're going to attempt to build this within 15 minutes. Attempt to build this. Attempt to build this within 15 minutes. Not conclusive. Attempt to build it within 15 minutes. But before I dive into the project, let's just explain a bit of what we're doing. So we're going to be leveraging OpenAI's new flagship GPT model, the GPT-4o, by way of API calls to allow our chatbot interact with the AI. We're using Next.js 14 framework to create the full stack application with no database setup needed. So with all that said, let's take a look at the application. By the way, if you do end up liking this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more of these. All right, guys, so here's our project, and currently it's running on our local host. So this has not been deployed yet with our chatbot. So currently this is the project running on our local host, and as you can see, this is the whole project. Nothing's been altered. If you guys want to know how to build this out, then I will leave a link in the description, or I'll just post it up top right now, up here somewhere. But here's what we're going to be building out: this open chat feature. As you can see, this button here, once you click it, it's going to say, how can I assist? This is going to be our modern chatbot for our application. So before I go ahead and type any message in there, let's just close out of that and let's see what we're working with here. So right now we have 3 tabs that says trending, movies, and TV. We're not really going to focus on trending because this isn't the data is coming from OpenAI, so we're going to be using the Chat-4o, so the Omni, which is, as of this recording, the latest flagship model that they have. So we're going to dive into that in a little bit. What I'm trying to say here is that with trending, we're not going to be able to get the up-to-date trend in movies or TV shows as of right now using our AI. But if we come to movies and TV, we're going to be able to get that. So let's see, for example, here it says Dune Part 2 is slated to be released on the 27th of February. So it's already been out at the time of this recording. So let's say, hey, I missed Dune 1. We can go up to this, we can go to our chatbot and say, can you explain the premise of Dune Part 1, for example. And we're going to give it a second. It's going to get the response, and it's going to render it for us. So as you can see, it gives us the description here. It tells us everything we have to know. Now I can also say, which is a cool feature, I can say, can you show me some new recommendations for movies such as Dune. Send that also. So we can do this. Now what we're doing is we're creating a thread. So from the first message to the second message, there's a thread there. Typically, if you do this and you don't do it properly, and you don't do the front end properly, you don't create the front end properly, you're not going to be able to craft this thread, and this is what we're trying to accomplish here. So here it says, if you enjoy Dune Part 1 and you're looking for similar movies, it's going to tell you what to watch. Dune 1 Blade Runner, it's going to tell you The Arrival, blah blah blah. And here's what's so cool about this application: we can now close out of this, we can come to movies, and we can search up Dune. Search that, and here's what we get. So we get this we get a bunch of Dune movies. I did not know there were this many. So we get Dune, but this is the one we're looking for. This is the original Dune 1. Well, the one pertaining to the Part 2. We can click on that, and now we can click on this play button, and it's going to show us a trailer, and we can go ahead and click on that trailer, and it's going to show us what we want to see. So take, for example, now we have Top Gunner Danger Zone. We can open up our chat, and when did this come out? So yeah, it's still within. We can say, can you give me a synopsis of Top Gunner Danger Zone in less than 100 words. Let's try that. So let's see what that gives us. So it should give there we go. So here, sure, Top Gunner Danger Zone follows an elite group of fighters, blah, blah, blah. So this all around is pretty awesome if you ask me. So let's go ahead and build this out. But before that, let me explain where all this information is coming from. And remember, like I said, all this is still going to be done in less than 15 minutes. All right, guys. So right before we jump into the code, let's just head over to OpenAI.com. And when we get over to OpenAI.com, right now, if you're doing this project within the time period at which this video is out, it should say Spring Update introducing GPT-4o and making more capabilities available for free in ChatGPT. So that's where we are. That's where we are at, and this is the main home screen. So what we want to do is come over to products. You go to documentation. So once you get to documentation, it's going to bring you here. So let's click on that together. So products, documentation. Yeah, it's going to bring you right here. Let's close out of that one. So when you get to documentation, it's going to bring you here. And what you want to do is you want to go over to API reference. So you're just going to go to API reference. And when you scroll down, it's going to tell you about project keys and user keys. This is how you get your API keys. So you go ahead and hit project API keys. It's going to tell you to fill out some stuff. For right now, that's the only thing I can show you for project keys for this video. So you go ahead, because right now it says it's the preferred option. So go ahead and hit project API keys. It's gonna generate the keys for you. And once you're done with that, now you can come over to making request. Once we're gonna make a request, this is the URL we're going to be using to make the request, and this is going to be the object we're going to be using. Except we're going to be using GPT-4o, not 3.5. That's the only difference. So with all that said, I know it was a quick kind of run through, but if you guys want me to make a video just on OpenAI's API keys and starting a whole new project with it, let me know and I can walk it down with you slower. But for right now, we just need the exposure, and we're going to go ahead and start building our application. All right, guys. So for the main event, let's go ahead and start working on our project. So right now I have our project opened up. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, there's no open chat UI here. There's no open chat modal here. So let's go ahead and go into our Explorer. As I said, all this is going to be done within 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and try and make that happen. So right now, we go into the components, and within the components, we're going to create a new file. And within this new file, we're going to call it chatbot.jsx. And then we're going to go ahead and RAFCE. Go ahead and save that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to import. I'm going to copy and paste these. So these are all the imports that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to take this out, the import React. So we're going to be importing React, use state, use effect, use ref from React. And then we're going to import dialog content, dialog title, icon button, the text field, and the button from material UI from at MUI/material. And then we're also going to be getting the send icon, the close icon from MUI/icons material/close, and we're going to be importing Axios from Axios. So in order to get all this MUI material UI icons, we're just going to go to you should just go to material UI on Google. So you go to material UI, and once you go into material UI, you're going to see that you're going to be able to copy and paste the command in order to install material UI icons and any other material UI imports that we're going to be needing. So once we do that, we can come down here, and here, right, and it's say that we're just going to put this right here, and it's going to be Chatbot. So in order for us to see what we are building, I'm just going to go ahead and import this Chatbot into our page. So let's just go over to our source right here, and then when we scroll down, actually let's scroll up. So we're going to app. In app, if you go over to hero, there we go. So if you go over to hero right here, you should see banner and headline nav. So within hero, let's close out of this. Within hero, we're just going to put chatbot. There we go. So for those of you who are okay, that's fine. So for those of you who are building this from scratch, all we're basically doing is I'm gonna hope that you and guess that you have at least a beginner/intermediate level understanding of Next.js. So what we're doing basically is we're putting this within the home. This is our hero page, so we're putting it within the hero route, the hero routes page. So we're going to place that in there, and this is going to be Chatbot. Like I said, if you want to follow this project from start to finish, the link is going to be in the description for you to watch it. So all we're doing is creating a link, a route that's going to have the Chatbot within it. So just imagine this says localhost 10,005/hero, but nothing within, no banner, no headline nav. You just had chat box. It's going to work the same way. So, or if you want to make it the home page, all you have to do is within app, just come down here to page.js and just place it in as chatbot within your page.js within the route for the app. That's all you're doing. It's going to be way easier if you go ahead and build the project as well. So we have that. So the reason we're getting this error is because when we scroll up here, we have to use client. And that's because this is going to be a client component, and it's going to refresh. There we go. So right now we can't see anything because we haven't really done anything in there. So if we say hello world, it's there somewhere. Just got to look for it. So there we go. It's hello world is right here. So, but that's not what we're after. So let's just keep going. So now what we want to do is we want to come within Chatbot. Let's come down a few lines, and we're going to say const user input and set user input. We're going to make this equal to use state. There we go. And this is where we're going to be storing our user input. So whatever we search within our chatbot. And here we're going to say responses, and this is what we get back from the chatbot. And we're going to say set responses, and this is going to equal use state, and this is going to be an array. We're going to say const is typing, and this is going to give that is typing field, well, that is typing response, the indicator that we are either that the bot is typing. So set typing is equal to use state false. Cool. And we're going to say const message and ref is equal to use ref. There we go. And this is going to be null, and this is going to be used to manage automatic scrolling to the latest message. And then lastly, we want to be able to open and close that modal. So this is going to be set open, and this is going to be equal to use state. This is false. Cool. Now what we want to do first is create our scroll functionality. So this is gonna this function is gonna scroll to the latest message that we get. So we're gonna say const scroll to the bottom. It's gonna be an arrow function, and we're just gonna say message endref dot current, and we're gonna say scroll to bottom. Scroll into view, sorry. Scroll into, let's just do this. Current dot scroll into view, and we're gonna ask the behavior to be smooth. So basically what I just did is scroll into view is it's a method that's available on DOM element objects. So it allows the user to scroll the element into the visible area of the browser window, so to where we could see it. So that's all we're doing here. So it's nothing really that special. So actually let's do this. There we go. That works better. Now, so after doing so, now we can state use effect, and this is going to be scroll to bottom. So we want this to work right when we have the response given. So when we get back a response, that's when we do this. So response, did I say response here? Responses. There we go. So this use effect is dependent on the response we get. So when we get a response, this function is going to kick in, and it's going to scroll smoothly to the bottom. So that's what we're going to do. Now we want to handle our dialog handlers. So we want to create our dialog handlers. So meaning when we click on the modal, it opens up, and when we re-click it or click somewhere else, it closes. So we're going to say const handle click open is equal to, and this is going to be set open, and this is going to be true, and this is going to open our dialog. And then we want to create one for handle close, and this is going to be to close it. So this is going to close the dialog and clear the message. So if you don't want the message to be cleared after you close it, you can also just skip the you could skip this portion that says set response to this, to an empty array. Let's see, set responses to an empty array. Cool. Now we want to create our message sending. So here's, we want to create the function that sends our message, so to handle the sending of message and receiving of messages. So what we're going to say is const handle send messages is equal to async and this is going to be if user input dot trim. This because we want to clear out all that white space, so we're going to use trim. So basically what we're saying is we're checking to see that the user input isn't just white space, so that's why we're using this trim. So we're going to say const new message is equal to, and we're going to say message is going to be the user input, and we're going to say it's from user. So this is going to help us in the back end. So this is going to be user. So here we're preparing the user message, and then we're going to stay set response or set responses to old response, which is going to be an array, and it's going to be old responses and new responses and new message. There we go. Actually, let's make everything uniform and let's just make it responses, and we're going to make it responses here. Cool. So what we're doing here is we're adding user message to the response array. So anytime there's a user message, we're just going to add it to the response. So now we're going to set user input. We're going to clear the user input when we do that, and we're going to set is typing. What did I state here? Set is typing. There we go. So we're going to set is typing to true. So this is going to show us our typing indicator. This one here is going to clear the input field. And here, what we're doing is we're just adding the user message to our response array. Cool. So once we do that, now we can have a try catch. So let's see if, let's come down here. Let's say try catch const data. So we're going to get the data, and that's await axios.post, and we're going to call the backend /API let's get that out of there. There we go. /API/chatbot. So in the backend, we're going to call that route chatbot, and all we're doing here, so we're done with that part. So all we're doing now is we're going to be sending the message to the server using a post request. So we have the post here, and now we're going to send the messages to the server. So the way we do that is by stating there we go. We say messages, and the messages is going to be responses dot concat. So we're concatenating to a new message. There we go. Yeah, so it's gonna concat just combines two or more arrays. So that's pretty much it. So the method returns a new array without modifying the existing array, which is exactly what we want. So let's come here and give it this right there. Cool. So that's all we're gonna do there. And now we can set our timeout. So we want to give it some time before basically we're simulating some kind of network delay, so it could give it the impression that the chatbot is thinking. So that's all we're doing here. So now we're gonna say set responses. We're gonna get old responses, and now we're gonna get the array of old responses. Yeah, so now we're going to get the array of old responses, and once we do that, now we can have the object, and the object here is going to be message. Let's see, let's come up here. Actually, let's open this up a bit until we actually start seeing our there we go, until we actually start seeing it being built. So we're going to say message, and here it's going to be data.response, and this is going to be from, and this is going to be bot. Cool. Awesome. So now from bot is just it's going to add the bot response to the chat. That's all it's doing here. So after doing so, let's make sure, there we go. Now we can state set is typing to false. Cool. And we're going to delay it by, let's say, let's delay it by 500. Cool, that works. Yeah, so let's delay it by 500. And now we have the catch error here, and we're going to say console.error, and this is going to be error occurred during fetching data. And then this is going to be error. Cool. There we go. We can also set response here, set responses to old responses. Array would be old responses, and then we're gonna have that object here that says message failed to fetch response, and let's say it's from somewhere, so from bot. So let's do this. There we go, from bot. So what we're saying is, let's see, do we have a sync there? Await. I see it's that post. Cool. So what we're saying is here is for data is what we get back when we use the post method, and then we're taking that, and then we're gonna say set timeout. We're getting the timeout, so we're setting the timeout. So we're simulating a network delay or just some kind of delay, and then we're gonna grab the message, which is gonna be data.response from the bot. We're gonna set is typing a false, which is gonna say, well, the bot's no longer communicating with us, so we don't see that typing indicator anymore. So here, this is just our error handling. So just like that, we created our handle send message, so our message function, send message function. Awesome. So now that we have that, we can come down one more, well, two more. So now that we have that, we can come down one or two more, and now we can actually start building out our modal. All right, guys, so now that we're done with the logic portion, let's go ahead and build out that interface. So what we want to do is let's just open up our browser here and get that showing. So let's see, let's just refresh this. All right, so let's get in here. Awesome. All right, cool. All right, so let's make this a bit smaller. Let's bring this over here. Let's make this a tad bit smaller. Actually, you know what? This is fine. Evens out. That works. Cool. So now within our return, we have this div. What we want to do is take this out and turn this into fragments. Cool. So this is going to be the interface portion. So what you see on the screen, I'm just going to run through this. We're going to be using Material UI to build out the CSS portion. So I'm just going to run through it, not really explain much of what I'm doing because it's not what this is really about. So just sit back and enjoy while we code this out. I will be like elaborating on things here and there, but not too much. But I digress. Let's get right into it. Now, when we open our chat up again, as you can see, everything works. Well, everything looks good. So at the top here, we have how can I assist? The placeholder here says type your message, ... There's a send button here and there's a close button here. So you can click on that. And what we kind of did, just to reiterate, we have a button here. The button is handle click open. When you click on it, it has its own styling. That's to open a chat. So that pertains to this right here when we click on it. And then dialog open. Handle close. We have the title, which is how can I assist. We have icon button, which is to close. This is the position of it. And then we have the content here. So the content is what we're gonna grab, the response we're gonna get when we receive a response based on the request we gave it. So that's gonna be situated within our modal right there. And here it's saying basically, like, if we have a response from the user, then we want the background to be blue for 100. And on the left, if it's not from the user, then we want it to be background white with the margin at the right, so it's going to be positioned towards the right with the background being white. And then we want our message to show up in paragraph form as text black. So that's pretty much what we're doing here is typing. Let's just make sure that we have that div ref is message end ref before we have the is typing, and is typing just signifies that we're getting something back. So this is typing is activated, and we want this typing with the ellipsis showing. And then we have the text field, which here is just saying placeholder is type your message. The value is the user input, and on change we have the set user input. Here this might be a little brand new, so on key press. So when the event, there's an event listener, and basically when you click the enter key, it triggers this handle send messages. If the enter key is not triggered, then there's nothing going on. By triggered, I mean you don't push the enter key. So it acts basically as you clicking the send button. And here we have our button with the handle send messages is the click function, and it has our send here. So all this is just the class name and the styling for it. So that's pretty much all we're doing here. I can enlarge this. And for those of you who weren't able to follow through, let's just enlarge this a bit. For those of you who weren't able to follow through, basically I'm gonna have the repository linked to this video, so you should be able to see what I'm doing here. So like I said, the CSS portion is not going to be the part I focus on too much, but when we come up here, there's a change I made. So here where it says scroll to bottom, let's just make sure this is its own function away from use effect. So the use effect should not be within this function. It's its own thing. So right here, so I made that change earlier, so I just want to make sure you guys do the same thing too. So with all that done, let's head right over back to our well, let's not head back, let's create our backend. So the Chatbot API backend, let's head over there right now. All right guys, so let's go ahead and head over to our API. Let's go over here. So within our source folder, we can open up our app folder, and then we have the API routes. So we're just going to create one, and it's going to be a new folder, not a new file. So new folder, we're going to call this Chatbot, and here we're just going to add a route.js file to it. Cool. And this is going to house our backend for the Chatbot. So what we want to do first is say import Axios from Axios, and then we can come down here and say export async function. It's going to be a post method, and we're going to take in a request as the parameter there, and then we're going to say const messages is equal to await request.json. And this is what we're getting from the front end. This is the request we're getting from the front end. And then we can say const API key is equal to process.env.openAI key. So my API key has already been set within my .env file. So when you guys get your API key from from OpenAI.com, when you go through the docs and everything, you want to place it within the env file, and then you want to place that file within the git ignore, just so you don't push your credentials to GitHub and have everything be exposed. So you want to make sure Git ignores that file when you push it. So now that you have your API key, just remember to that one, it's case sensitive when you extract it from your .env file. So when you say process.env, you have to make sure this is case sensitive. So I have it saved as this, and I'm just going to be using this to call it as my variable. So we have that. Now we can go ahead and write the logic. This states if API key, well, if there's no API key, there we go, then we want to state console.error. Let's just say API key is not set in environment variables. Now we can say return next response.json, and this is going to say message open, just to say API key is not configured. So that's the error we're gonna throw. In the status here is just gonna say 500 because it's a server error. Cool. So if we don't have an API, if we don't have an API set, we're gonna console log this error, and then we're gonna return this to the front end, or we're gonna respond with a JSON message saying API key is not configured and a status of 500. So afterwards, let's come down here. Now, if we do have an API key, we're gonna have a try catch, and within the try, we're gonna say const response is equal to await axios.post. Now we're posting to our URL. So within the OpenAI API docs, you're going to see that URL that you can post to, and it's going to be https api.openai.com/v1/chat/completions. There we go. Now we can have the object here, and the object is going to be model, and we're going to be using that brand new GPT-4o. Let's do this, GPT-4o. Cool. And here we're going to have messages, and it's going to be an array of objects. So we're going to say role is going to be system. We're going to state content, and content is going to say this assistant is specialized in discussing movies, TV shows, and entertainment related topics. Cool. So what we're doing here is we're saying the role of system. We're given the role as system, so that's what our AI is, and the content, we're saying what the role of this API is to assist us in specialized topics such as movies, TV shows, and entertainment related topics. So if you ask it something out of this realm, it's not going to respond. So that's pretty much all we're saying here. So after this, let's just do that, and now we can say messages.map message, and we're gonna map, let's say message, and then let's just do this. So we're gonna give it, actually, let's do this message. Let's now do this. Let's give it an object. There we go. Role dot message. Well, the role will be message dot from. So if we have user, so if the message is from user, then we're gonna keep it as user. Else, it's going to be the assistant. And the content is going to be message.messages. Well, let's keep it as message.message. Cool. And now, one more. Let's come down here. And now we can say temperature. Temperature is 0.7. And I will explain what that is in a second. So why is this wrong? Oh, that's why. Because this is supposed to be here. So temperature is 0.7. Okay, so what are we doing wrong here? Let's see. There we go. We just missed that comma. So here, temperature is going to be 0.7. And now we can put the headers, and the headers is going to be authorization, and it's going to be a bearer token. So it's going to be bearer API key. Cool. And then we're going to have content type, and this is going to be application /JSON. Cool. Now let's see, where are we going wrong here? Let's bring this, and let's put this over here. Cool. All right, now we have it. Awesome. Okay, so what is this saying? So this part's pretty self-explanatory. So you're grabbing the messages, you're mapping through it, and you're assigning it the role. And the content is the message.message. That's what you're getting from this. So let's see. From the front end, sorry. So that's what you're using, that's the request you're getting. So you're mapping through that request, and you're using this logic to do so. So temperature is pretty interesting. What it does is it takes whatever request you have within your chatbot, so whatever you ask your chatbot, and depending on what you place the temperature, you can have it give really strict answers, or strict responses, or you can give pretty lax responses. So it will kind of deviate away into a more broader sense of what you're asking it. So with 0.7, you're kind of in that average neutral spot where you're not given too lax of an answer and you're not given too strict of an answer, which is what we want our chatbot to do. So you can go ahead and configure that out in different ways. I'm pretty sure in the docs you can also read more about it, but we're just going to use temperature 0.7. Here, this is just the regular headers. So the authorization, we're using a bearer token, so it's going to be bearer and then your API key for authorization, and then the content type is application /JSON, which is pretty normal. And now we can head down to here, and then we can work with our AI response. So for our AI response, which we are getting from this, we're going to state const AI response is equal to response.data.choices. We're picking the first one, .message.content.trim, which if you look in the docs, it's going to tell you exactly how to walk you through that. So without delving much into it, this is typically how you get that AI response back from OpenAI. So this is how you get the response and how you pick from it. It's just typically response.data.choices. You pick the first array, .message.content.trim. Trim is just to eliminate any white space in between whatever is received. So that's pretty much it on how you get the response back. So now how do you return that? So you say return next response.json. The response here is going to be AI response, and we're going to be sending back a status code of 200 stating that everything was all good. So now you can come back to error here, and you're going to say console.error error occurred, and we're gonna have error response. So if there's an error response, then we want to state error dot, not error rounded, so we want to state error dot response dot data else error dot message. And so error occurred. So now we can return next response.json, and with the message something went wrong, and here we're just gonna have error, and this is gonna be error.message. Cool. So now let's have a status of 500. Awesome. So let's do this. Awesome. Cool. So just like that, we're all done with the application. So let's see if our feature works well now. So let's go over to our local host. So now I can go ahead and open this chatbot, and this is the UI we constructed earlier. So as you can see, it still looks great. Now let's see if the under the hood actually works. Let's see if the logic that we implemented actually works. So for our first message where it says type your message ... let's go ahead and put in how many Harry Potter movies are there from the original series. And let's see, it says type in. Let's see, do we get a response? Awesome. So we get a response back, and the response says the original Harry Potter series consists of 8 movies. They're based on 7 books written by J.K. Rowling. So this is awesome. So now another part we want to see is is there a thread to this? So from this response, can we get another response based off what the AI stated? So now can we go off of this and say, based on the response given, which of these movies is the most critically acclaimed let's put it that way, based on based on critique, based on a viewer critique, viewer score and critique. Let's go with that. So as you can see, not only does that work, so as you can see, it follows up the thread, and it scrolls directly to that last to the last thing we saw. So based on the new response given, it scrolls to the bottom of it. So here it says Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is often regarded as the most critically acclaimed film in a series. So it says it holds a high approval rating from critics and is also well received by audience on Rotten Tomatoes. So Let's see if that is actually true. So with our application, we can actually find out. So if we close out of this, as you can see, it says Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So if we close out of this, if we scroll down to our movies here and we search Harry Potter, awesome. So as you can see, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban has the highest rating in everything we see here. So this rating system is pretty great. I guess the only other one is the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is 8.1, but I mean, based on when the based on when the AI is getting its information from, it's pretty accurate. It's damn near accurate. It's pretty close to it. So yeah, that's pretty much the application. All right, guys. So we weren't able to meet the challenge, which was to code this in 15 minutes or less. But that wasn't the point. The point was to embed our chatbot AI within our application, which is what we did. Everything else was just kind of like an attention grabber or some kind of caveat on top, the sprinkles on top of the ice cream. So the main point was to show you guys how to embed that chatbot AI within your application, and to show you how to use the API keys and set up the full stack application to work perfectly. So like we said, there was no database in this, so this was kind of a easy just an easy API project. It was just kind of from one endpoint to the other. That's all we kind of did here. Everything else is mostly front end work. So if you guys want more sophisticated or more projects relating to this, to the AI or integrating AI within your application, let me know in the comment section, and we'll work on that. So I am planning on making more videos like this in the near future, but let me know if you guys have any ideas or anything in the comment section, and I'll see what I could do about that. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.